Hey guys, it's Mathel here, and welcome to another episode of How the Shit Is This Actually Working So Well? Today's edition brings us a non-crit pure lightning Cyclone abusing the Hyaon's Fury unique sword, which gives you immense amounts of lightning damage. It originally started out with dual wield, but soon turned into a one-hand and foil setup. Can be used as a shield though if you really choose to. Strength of the build is being pure lightning, using conductivity and lightning penetration with many quick attacks from the Cyclone skill. All in all, you do quite immense amounts of damage in a very short amount of time and survive through the use of dodge and evasion. The survivability of the character is actually quite surprising, thanks to the life on kill per frenzy bonus on the Hyaon sword itself, and I've actually been killing warband packs easier on this character than any previous character on warbands before. It is that good. Get into the nitty gritty of the build, of the links. What we're looking at here is your essentials are Blood Magic, Cyclone, Lightning Pen, and Wed. That's what I would say is your most crucial 4 link. I mean, if you really want, sub out Lightning Pen, put in increased area just for the feel of the build. But I think Lightning Pen is just way too much DPS, especially on the really tough monsters that have high lightning resist and bosses in particular as well. So I feel like probably at least a 5 link for this build would be ideal, but you can make your way through life with a 4 link, just at a slightly slower pace. Once you get into the 6 link territory, you're either going... At this point, I'm using a full evasion chest, so to get colors different than this, it's going to be pretty hard, so I have to use faster attacks. Alternatively, if you can get a blue socket, use added lightning, that will give you a lot of extra damage. A red socket, you can go with life leech. There are a few other choices, but those are the main ones. Conk effect, but I don't really like using that permanently. I like just subbing in Conk effect over increased area for heavy single target fights. Find that to be most effective. The setup itself originally was going to be dual Hyaon, and it was dual Hyaon up until about level 82. Once I started breaking to, say, level 74, 75 maps, it was getting pretty goddamn risky. Taking, how much is it? 48% increased damage taken while all my frenzy charges were up. That's pretty goddamn rough. So I tried out my old foil that I used for leveling, which is pretty good attack speed and pretty good lightning damage. That's all you really need on it. And then mastercraft some Wed. The cold, it's kind of minuscule, doesn't really matter. As you can see, I do a bit of cold damage, but it's not penetrated and it doesn't shock. Doesn't really. It's there for no reason. So you don't really need the cold. So I put that on, and turns out it's only like 1 or 2,000 less DPS than dual Hyons. So at the gain of 24% damage taken, reduced damage taken, I lose like 1 or 2k DPS, which kind of doesn't matter at all. That said, it's pretty ideal to have at least one Hyaon for the life gained on kill per frenzy charge, and for that massive lightning damage bonus. When I go with 2 foils, I lose something like 8,000 damage total. When I go with 1 foil, 1 sword, I only lose about 1 or 2k, as opposed to dual Hyons. So my recommendation for the overall setup is 1 of each. You can make 2 foils work. It's still really good damage, but for the best, I think, balance of the build, 1 Hyons is ideal. Next we got some Dark Ray Vectors. They're fairly crucial to the build. I wouldn't say you have to use them. It's just that you wouldn't get that massive dodge bonus out of any other boots. Plus, 1 frenzy charge is always great. So, you could use something like Atziri's Step. Could use Blood Dance if you really want the life regen, but it's kind of useless. I almost am always at full life thanks to the life gain on kill from frenzy charge here. So life regen doesn't do too much, and also Blood Dance kind of reduces your damage, which is sad. Everything else is kind of up to you guys. It's not very crucial. Like, there's no real set in stone pieces. Gloves, I went for just high attack speed, life, good resist. Belt, huge life. wed, couple of resists. As far as rings and amulets go, though, that's where things get a little bit more interesting. You have to try and get some high wed on it, and if you can't get some high wed, get some lightning damage to attacks. So, from my testing out and playing around with, 30 to 36 wed on a ring is worth roughly the same as a T1, almost even a T2 lightning roll. So, like 1 to 40 lightning damage would perform roughly the same. Yeah, these are the rings I had prior to these two rings, which both have wed on them. These are the rings I was using, so 4 to 4 lightning damage, and 1 to 40 lightning damage, and 70 life. And they cost almost nothing, and they do just as good for the damage. I'm not sure it's quite as good unbuffed. 17-4, yeah. But once you get your increased lightning damage going from your frenzy charges, they end up being about the same damage value. And on my neck, I managed to get both. It's pretty hard to do that though. Ideally, you get a neck with +1 frenzy as well. That's a tall order. I'll try and get that eventually, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do that. Helm, I went with a high evasion, high life, good amount of int because you need int for the build, and a couple of resists. Now, the other option to me is a Devoto's Devotion, because it's 20% movement speed and 16% attack speed. Also some good evasion. The problem with this helm is it's then hard for me to fill out resists and life elsewhere because I'm
being conquered by the Red Blade clan.
pretend that didn't happen. Because we have already so few, or so many pieces that don't have life, like Dark Rays, Bronze, Dual Wield, no shield. You can get away with using a Devotos if you somehow balance your resists better than I have, because the run speed really is going to be phenomenal in the long run. 20% more is a huge boost. I'll probably try and fit it in eventually somehow myself too. That's kind of the nitty gritty of the gear. As far as your links go, got ourselves some Fortify, Blood Magic, Blood Rage, and Whirling Blades. If you can somehow fit in faster attacks there, go for it. I couldn't figure out a way to do it. But keep up. Just Whirling Blades, it's really, really fast when you have your Frenzy charges up, great movement. And you're going to be using Whirling Blades to get Fortify up whenever you're ready to take some good damage. So if you see a Reflect guy, if you see some heavy Porcupines, so lots of damage there, some bosses, you want to keep Fortify up through Whirling Blades. And then we got Vile Grace, Increased Duration, and Vile Haste. This is your setup to become an absolute beast when you open boxes, come across bosses, warbands, packs, whatever, you name it. This basically makes you invincible, paired with the rest of your defenses and offenses. Now this is kind of just a nothing setup. Arctic Armor though, I chose Arctic Armor because there's nothing really else I can fit in that last 25% of mana, and Arctic Armor basically just leaves chilled ground around. So if you run around on top of a boss, you're constantly chilling him, and that's pretty nice and handy. Got ourselves a Curse on Hit Herald of Thunder conductivity setup. Do not underestimate it, it actually increases your clear speed quite substantially. As you spin through everything, you're constantly raining down conductivities and giving huge damage buffs for your lightning damage. So especially on single target like rares, there are certain like necros that are highly lightning resistant. This just makes it so they basically have almost no lightning resist and you just spin right through them easily. Highly recommend attaching that setup. Wrath as well, that's just there because I need it to be. I don't know where else to put it, I mean. As far as boots go, I got a manual conductivity setup in case Curse on Hit fails me for a certain fight. A Flame Golem, and a Frenzy single target because it helps to keep up your Frenzy charges sometimes just by stabbing things in between fights or during an actual fight. Very handy. As far as flasks go, you're going to want at least one Topaz flask to help handle Reflect. A Quicksilver, pretty damn crucial for your fast running and spinning. You don't really need an Atziri's Promise, but I think it helps out just for some DPS, a bit of leech, and lightning resistant mobs. So, kind of like it there. one instant flask, and I have a slow regen flask, which I feel like getting rid of actually, because very often I'm either it's all or nothing. I just need instant flasks. Rarely, if ever, I'm just like, at half-life and needing to press a regen flask, for example. So now down to the passive tree. I personally started as a ranger, as it is most efficient. These are all good starting passives, and you get 8 attack speed for 1 point whenever you choose to take it. You can start as a shadow, just that your first 5 points are going to be purely damage based instead of defensive. You can start as a duelist, which is just a little bit worse than ranger by going through here. You can start as Templar if you feel like wasting 5 points, so good luck with that. You can start as a Scion if you feel like wasting 4 points. Good luck with that as well. The passive tree itself, the core idea is to get as many frenzy charges as possible, high attack speed, high run speed, and some elemental bonuses. So we start here, grab our 1% life regen there, move speed, attack speed, move speed, life, frenzy, acro. My next few levels I'm going to be filling out this, and grab phase acro because I'm stacking heavy amounts of dodge, so I may as well do that. Another frenzy. 5% chance to shock up here. Go through here. Another 1% regen, and also 2 melee unarmed, so that's pretty damn melee weapon range. That's really useful for Cyclone. Another bit of regen there. Essentially all of our regen starts to cancel out the blood rage effect. A static electricity jewel over here gives us 1 to 82 lightning damage. It's pretty solid place to put it. You could possibly also put one here. Not that useful. If you somehow go through the tree this way, a static electricity jewel there does a lot of work too. Went through here, whole bunch of life you can fill out if you really want to. Another jewel. Mine just has 7 attack speed, 5 life, and a bit of int, which helps out. Grab RT whenever you start to dip below, say, 85 to 90% hit. I only took it the last few levels. So there's another 5 shock here. Some penetration. Another 5 shock. So in total we're running 15%. Not including conductivity, of course. And a bit more life regen and some AoE. So that's all pretty straightforward stuff. So, yeah, this build is performing far better than I possibly expected. Well, actually, I forgot to talk about chest. Bronze Lithe, +2 movement speed gems. That is, gives us +2 to Cyclone. 49% increased damage with movement skills. That gives us actually like a good couple of thousand DPS with Cyclone, so it's pretty damn handy. High evasion, movement speed, attack speed. There's no wasted stats on this chest. Problem is, it doesn't have life. That's the only thing we'd really want out of another chest. If you got a Cargo's Jack, that is a great choice. You could go a Duresso's, go a Belly of the Beast, a rare evasion chest. Several choices to go with. I just picked up a Bronze Lithe at level 53 for fun, and happened to accidentally 6-link it. I was only going for like a random 4 or 5 link, and bam, 6-link. So I ended up being committed to this chest, and it's still a pretty good chest and choice, so I'm happy to stick with it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the build, hope you enjoyed the video, and get out there and spin on top of some things, because it's a whole lot of fun.